Alright, welcome to another edition of What the Fuck Happenings Here. In Mendum Brain thing. So, yes, we'll do that again. What does the brain produce? This week's version of it. And, blah, 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 blah. So, let's just get on with it. So I did make a video. It's called something about modeling modelers or some kind of crap like that. There's a subject I intended to get to was something about just the basic function of the brain, and I should have just stuck with this scheming idea, right? That, it's just a scheming brain, and it schemes by recognizing patterns, models. It models how things work, okay? That the water goes from up here and it trickles down to down there. And we learn these kind of things about the environment. You know, that trees tend to grow up, I don't know. There's lots of examples. We learn that fingers bend this way really easy, but they don't bend that way very easy. All that kind of crap. And it's just these little models in our brain, and we're just using these models to construct a image of ourselves navigating the maze of whatever, food and poo, and trying to get the food without getting too much poo on ourselves. Some sort of crap like that. The crap game. The consumption, reproduction, cannibalism, addiction thing. Spelled it wrong. Anyway, parasitism and something or other. Whatever. Doesn't matter. So that's what I was talking about. And, in my opinion, there's no rational way to model this except as a crappy, stupid game. Way too much losses, way too little gains, blah, 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 blah. And so that was what the video was about. So anyway, we'll jump through the video and see where it goes. So here's a place. Let's see what I say. Of it being invisible. About every little thought. Okay, yeah. So I said this in another video on a different channel about I really don't have any agenda here, but to explain what I see. Okay, what's obvious to me, and I'm really not doing anything else. There's no other crap. Now I'm not saying I don't have thoughts in my head about, ooh, I like to fuck that bitch, or some sort of shit. But I'm just saying, generally speaking, I would be okay with the idea of just, putting my brain in some sort of device that makes everything I think visible to you. Okay, all the ways and the reasons why I'm advocating for something. Because I'm not ashamed or embarrassed or, well, I mean, some stuff is embarrassing, but I just mean I'm not ashamed of my agenda as a human being. I don't have any apprehension that I'm doing something except my best to be doing my best to do what I can for the truth, for the best interest, for doing the best navigating with the game as it lays before me. My honest impression of the game and my honest impression of what my best path is through this game. And so I'm not saying that means anything I say in that, but I just mean, yes, it's just, and so all I'm trying to do is explain to you what I'm seeing. That's it. That's all I do in these videos, is try to figure out, my brain sits here and figures out a way, how do I explain what my brain thinks? And why my brain thinks it. So my brain is wasting all this time, from its perspective, it's sort of a waste of time, trying to interpret what it sees as obvious, and just trying to interpret it into a language you can understand. Why it's so obvious to me that you don't give kids cancer to play football. That kind of stuff. Alright. Yeah. So that is just a little piece of the video. That's really not what the video is about. But anyway, it's an interesting idea of just analyzing your own thought process and recognizing the parts where you are insincere. And I'm just saying, over the years, I have become a very sincere person with very few manipulative agendas. Anyway, continuing. I think, yeah, I have to click the button. Okay. Simple concepts like, you know, water uphill, water falls downhill. Yeah, so I'm just used the same analogy, but, you know, sometimes my brain's not very creative and it's tired, so it just uses the same shit. You know, that's it's doing its best, and that's, you know, what happens sometimes. So I probably should have thought something more original to say, but I didn't. But yeah, I'm just trying to get to the point that, I mean, all of it is about our understanding about the mechanism, how it works. I mean, you know, there's people that know how to use their car and drive it in a way where they can get 300,000 miles out of the engine. And there's people who can't get 25,000 miles because they have no appreciation for what's a good thing or a bad thing to do, you know, in terms of switching gears or doing some other thing to wear out the parts and all that kind of crap. And the same thing is in life. There's people that are aware and understand how things work, how they understand how they can hurt people's feelings, they understand how they can do this and do that, and they try to avoid all that kind of crap, and they live a much more efficient life because they're aware. And I'm just arguing that, in my opinion, any kind of awareness at all, any kind of contact with reality, and you're going to appreciate that. Why, you know, go visit a farm and, you know, touch a calf and appreciate that. Why would I want to harm this dumb animal? Yeah, it's dumb, it's trapped in its own kind of little silly world, but it's a real animal. She's really in there. Why would I want to do any harm to it? Why would I pay somebody to butcher it? You know, yeah, obviously, you know, that's not that shouldn't be a complicated question to ask somebody. Of course, that's not good. So of course we should do whatever we can to prevent that. It's not like we have to stop it, but we should do whatever we can to make mitigate against it. Let's quit raising people to eat cows. Let's find something else for them to eat. And, you know, there's 10 chairs and there's 10,000 organisms. So I was talking about evolution and just comparing it to a musical chairs game, and, you know, nobody could sit there and say this is great sport. You know, 10,000 organisms trying to get to 10 chairs, and they have to do all kinds of shenanigans and bullshit and, you know, deceptions and all kinds of evil. Okay, they have to, you know, little poison dart frogs. They have to have all kinds of weapons to play the game so they can steal the place in the chair. I mean, it's... Why would somebody say great idea? No, it's not a great idea. It's like one of the worst possible ideas one could imagine. Mass murder to make, you know, more webbing on a frog's toes. Fuck you. That's not worth it. Shit. But yeah, all of this pop culture stuff tries to turn it into something. I mean, the Lion King just popped in my... Okay, yeah, so he's doing the circle of life thing. I said the word circle of life. But big mistake, because then it gets into this fairy tale bullshit narrative that doesn't realize what the real circle is. So the image in the background is the real circle. The real circle is grind them up, feed, you indirectly feed on the ground up bodies, the decomposed, the dead. You inadvertently eat them because the stuff you eat is eating them. The plants are eating the dead, okay, and then you're eating the plants. You could even do that. And just recycling this insane circle of death. It's not a circle of life, it's a circle of death. It's a circle of mayhem. Most of the little kitties get ground up. They don't survive and romp around in you know, fairyland somewhere and you lick lollipops. That's not the life that most things are given. And you're just defending a bloodbath. And frankly, it's disgusting. And okay, you'll become defensive because I've called you something. I'm gonna call you a name. Yeah, but you're worse than the worst of the, you know, child molesters. You're the child molesters. Okay, the breeders are child molesters. It's just a fact. They're using them to get off. It's disgusting. Okay, watch the old porn. Okay, well, go find some old Rockwell images to jerk off to. Okay, don't make kids. Okay, go look at pictures of kids. Okay, get off on playing with dolls. Go find some synthetic thing. So if I made that argument, right, that if we sold at the store little fuckable child dolls for pedophiles to rape, there's people that actually think, oh yeah, no, we can't do that. We have to pass a law against, you know. That's how silly the world is. But I'm suggesting to you people that have some needling needs, yeah, go buy a doll, okay, and play your little pretend that you're little Dr. Frankenstein and you're making your little monster. You know, so maybe someday they'll actually have that, you know, the AI story. You know, you'll be able to go to the store and buy yourself a little robot that you can program to be a neurotic asshole like yourself. I'm not going to pass a law against it. I'm not going to say, oh no, don't let those crazy breeders, you know, those child molesting breeders satisfy their needs in some way where they're not exploiting a real child. No, of course, exploit all the non-real children you want. Shit. You know, people are just so fucking stupid. Oh, I just marvel. It really does surprise me. I mean, I really had a foolish impression when I was a kid that people were smart, you know, and that, oh yeah, they landed on the moon, they did it. And yeah, there's like 3 people that are smart, and all the rest of them are assholes. It's a tiny percentage of the human race that does anything smart. Ugh, shit. I do hate this planet. Ooh, white stuff. Let's see what that is about. It leads to a lot of other things, but it doesn't mean anything to us. But it's real energy. The energy just keeps going. Okay, yeah, so I was just kind of making the point that, you know, the real story of our existence is evolution. It is chemistry, and, you know, first, and it goes back to the physics, and it's just this energy cycling through, and it gets caught up in these little complex patterns, and the little complex things are, you know, it's like those little bugs that, you know, in the ocean, in the stream, you know, there's little crustaceans that pick up all the little rocks and build a little rock. You know, they pile a bunch of rocks around themselves and just walk around covered in little rocks. You know, yeah, so that's all we're doing. We're doing our little collection, you know, to pretend we're doing somewhere, we're getting somewhere. And no, we're just fucking hauling around rocks. We're just carrying rocks around. We're not doing anything. Ugh, it's just pathetic. To defeat the other snowball thrower. Alright, so this was a diagram of, you know, this was a model. Yeah, it just didn't, you know, didn't really stay very coherent. But just making the point that, okay, just gets into this idea of you become just a slave to your nationality or to some other bullshit, and you're just, you know, it's all about just fighting your little snowball fights and saying, you know, thinking you're going to win. And nobody ever wins because you all die, and then you just let your kids inherit the same compulsion to fight the old snowball fight. I mean, it's, you know, it's just so stupid. Keep trying to win, even though you never are going to win. It's never going to end. The fight never ends. You're just throwing snowballs forever. I can, you know. I mean, there's somebody selling a house for like twice. Okay, so just using a little personal anecdotal point to make about how people are insane. I mean, they're just crazy. This crazy shit that goes on. You just can't. What the fuck? How could people be modeling reality correctly and do things that are just so crazy? These are obviously not modeling reality very well. You know, a salamander, you know, before you can find a common ancestor. You're not imagining it correctly. Alright, so I was just talking about here, you know, about how, you know, you can get into all kinds of detail. You know, that, you know, people can, in doing this modeling thing, they can get really deep into the forest and really deep into the roots of the tree and really deep into the, you know, what microbes are living on the roots in the tree. And, you know, there's all kinds of depth you can do. And all of that's meritorious and good to increase our knowledge of the model and how it works. But yeah, the real key is to get the big picture right, to get the idea of what, you're on a boat in the ocean and all the, you can't pretend you're in just an isolation room and you don't know what the rest of the outside world is. And so the real context of existence is evolution. That's what built us. That's what still drives us fundamentally. And we have this capacity to think about what we're doing. And the only reason why we have it is because it made us really good schemers. But now it can make us good thinkers. It can make us good model makers. It can make us capable of seeing the truth, recognizing the dilemma, and doing the right thing to fix it. I mean, that's within our capacity. And it's just me trying to convince other people that, yes, it's really not about, I mean, as much fun as it is, eating food and fucking and doing these things are trivial and unimportant. And, we've been there and done that for, millions of years, so to speak. The real game is understanding the fact that we are just slaves to either a DNA molecule, or slaves to a culture, or slaves to some sort of attachment we got to football, or some sort of other bullshit that we're a slave to. And it's time to end the slavery. For your kid, that's going to protect them from the very disease that infected you. Yeah, I don't know exactly what I was saying there, but that's a good point. That people are just reinfecting their kids with the same plague. The same stupid virus. Are they stupid enough to think that their kid is going to be them and have their values, or are their kids going to be as dumb as them, or their kid is going to have the same view of the forest and the trees that they have, and they're going to see the same thing. When you have nobody who does a little tiny bit of modeling, a little tiny bit of thinking about our reality, would not recognize that that's not going to happen, that your kid is not likely to have anything close to the same perspective that you have, the same desires, the same configuration of motivational mechanisms. So why would you pretend to know that it's going to be all right? Yeah. You can't know that. But aggressive enough to survive. Yeah, so it's, this is, well, I probably should go back a hair because I can't remember exactly what the context of that was. Programmed to be what? Yeah, so it's all about just programming, and yes, we have to be aggressive enough to get through our lives, but we have to recognize that, yes, the truth is that we don't want to hurt anything. The truth is we don't want unnecessary harm. We don't want unnecessary squeals and yelps and cries. And but as a pragmatic matter, we can't do what we need. We can't make it out of these ingredients. We can't stop that, and just recognizing that it's not practical. We can't make the world the way it needs to be. So quit pretending we're on the right road, because it doesn't go where you think it goes. It just goes to redundant waste. It goes to the garbage dump, not the fancy restaurant. You're sensing the future to choke on garbage. I'm sure he's not going to take enough interest to bother programming them, because he's going to have to admit he's not a psychologist. Yeah, right. So yeah, there's no way to, there's no competent Dr. Frankenstein. There's no way you can navigate the tricky road of building a human being and know what kind of bumps and bangs and smacks what kind of trauma you have to put it through to turn it into something civilized. It just ain't that easy. That model we don't have. Those blueprints we don't have. How do I make a decent human being that isn't crippled by their decency? I say not possible. Alright, I think that's about it. Alright, yeah, that was it. Time for another do not kind of rude image knock there. Something over. Yeah, but anyway, it's small enough. I don't think it'll be a big problem. All right. Anyway, so yeah. So summing up, it's not easy communicating with people. I'm doing it in a way where, yeah, okay, I'm not spending time writing really thick books because I think it needs to be a thin book. I think it needs to be concise and consolidated. So maybe there's a point where I'll write it into a script, or maybe write it into a movie, or write it into some kind of communication art. Okay, that's a little better than this video in terms of its continuity and its flow and its integration and its interestingness and all of that crap that should be unnecessary, frankly. I mean, the truth is human beings should be able to handle communication in this live, alive, not overly processed form. But again, I'm not saying there's something evil about processing. I'm just saying all the previous versions of processed, okay, literature, it does lose something in that translation. You know, in the the picking at it, you know, to perfect it, it loses the grit of reality. It looks like a pantomime of the real story. It looks like kind of a caricature rather than something deeper and more intricate. So yeah, I don't know what the right balance is. 1,000 in Mendham videos, right, is too many. You know, 10,000 is way too many. But yeah, sometimes you know, a book ain't enough either. So I don't know, somewhere in between, something somewhere, somehow, I will attempt to figure out how to do this simple process of explaining how, yeah, I have a different perspective than you, and the fact is my perspective is more accurate than yours is. You know, and it's better. It's the right answer versus your wrong answers, your wrong understanding of how the universe works, how we work, and how we should work. You do have it wrong, and I think I can explain to you where you're making your mistakes. Yeah, so something like that. Anyway, that's all on this. It's enough of a video, I say. Sure, why not? Okay, so till the next time and such, blah 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 blah. I do intend to do more stuff. I just, you know, every week has crap in it. You have to do all this crap swimming, and then you get tired from crap swimming in the crap, and then you have to take a nap, and blah 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 blah, and you know. But yeah. I have some sense that, yes, I will eventually do better. I mean, I keep saying I'm going to do better, but yeah, eventually I will. You know, I will jump higher, but I just, you know, just isn't happening lately. But I'll work on it some more. Anyway, okay, so till the next time and such and so forth and whatnot. Yeah, that's probably enough. Yeah, it's enough. Alright, so this has been a donotgod.com video presentation, and I guess I'll see you next time and such. And so forth and whatnot.